In the deserts of New Mexico, a promising American musician vanished without a trace. His name was Jim Sullivan, a singer-songwriter whose haunting 1969 album was titled simply U.F.O. 6 years later, on a lonely stretch of highway, Jim disappeared, leaving behind his car, his guitar, and every personal belonging he carried. But not his body, and not a single clue about where he went. Was he running from something, hiding from someone, or taken by forces beyond our understanding? This is the mysterious disappearance of Jim Sullivan. Jim Sullivan was born in 1939 in Nebraska, but he grew up in California. By the late 1960s, he had carved out a small but loyal following in Los Angeles. His music blended folk, rock, and country, carried by a voice that was deep, hypnotic, and unmistakably unique. Friends described him as charismatic, a little restless, and always chasing the next big thing. In 1969, Sullivan released his debut album, U.F.O. At the time, it didn't sell many copies, but the record stood out. The lyrics were strange, otherworldly, songs about leaving this world behind, traveling across the desert, and vanishing into the sky. In one track, he sang about driving through the desert and being taken away by something he couldn't quite name. Decades later, these lyrics would feel eerily prophetic. Despite his talent, Sullivan struggled to break through in the crowded Los Angeles music scene. He played small clubs, wrote songs for other artists, and made friends in Hollywood, but success always seemed just out of reach. By 1975, his marriage was faltering, his career was stalling, and he was looking for a change. That year, Sullivan decided to leave Los Angeles behind and head for Nashville, Tennessee, the heart of the American music industry. He believed Nashville might offer the opportunities he couldn't find on the West Coast. He packed his Volkswagen Beetle with a few belongings, his 12-string guitar, some clothes, and a stack of demo tapes. On March 4th, 1975, Jim said goodbye to his wife and young son. He climbed into his car, set his sights eastward, and drove out of Los Angeles. His plan was simple: take the I-10 freeway, cut through Texas, and eventually arrive in Nashville. But Jim Sullivan would never make it there. What happened next remains one of the strangest disappearances in American music history. On March 5th, 1975, Jim Sullivan's journey took him across Texas and into New Mexico. He had been on the road for more than a full day, covering nearly 1,000 miles. Somewhere along that route, things began to unravel. Later accounts suggest he may have been exhausted, possibly disoriented from the long drive. Witnesses in Santa Rosa, a small town in eastern New Mexico, reported seeing Sullivan check into a motel. He paid for the room, but strangely, he never slept in the bed. The sheets were untouched. The key was left inside. Instead, he seems to have spent the night somewhere else. The next morning, his light blue Volkswagen Beetle was discovered abandoned at the edge of the desert, about 26 miles outside of Santa Rosa. Inside the car, investigators found almost everything he owned: his wallet, his guitar, a box of demo tapes, clothes, even his family photos. Only Jim himself was missing. To those who knew him, this was the most troubling detail. Sullivan was never the type to leave behind his guitar. It was his livelihood, his identity. If he planned to run away or start over somewhere else, why would he leave behind his money, his music, and the instrument he needed most? The car itself showed no signs of struggle. The doors were locked, and there was no evidence of an accident. Police noted that the vehicle seemed to have been carefully parked, not hastily abandoned. It was as if Jim had simply pulled off the road, stepped out into the desert, and vanished. Search teams combed the surrounding area. Deputies, locals, and even aircraft scouted the brush and the mesas, but no footprints, no discarded clothing, no sign of a body was ever found. The desert was silent. Back in Los Angeles, his wife and friends were stunned. They knew Jim had been struggling but disappearing into thin air. It made no sense. The music industry was already harsh and unforgiving, but nobody expected him to just walk away. In Santa Rosa, rumors swirled. Some suggested he had become lost in the desert and perished. Others speculated foul play, that perhaps he had crossed paths with the wrong people along that lonely stretch of highway. And then there were those who connected his disappearance to the themes of his own music. After all, his first album, U.F.O., was filled with lyrics about deserts, journeys, and mysterious forces taking people away. The unsettling coincidence gave rise to one of the strangest theories of all, that Jim Sullivan's disappearance was not of this world. The disappearance of Jim Sullivan has remained unsolved for 5 decades, and over the years, several theories have emerged. Each one offers a possible explanation, but none can fully account for the strange circumstances. Theory 1. He walked into the desert. The simplest explanation is that Sullivan became disoriented, wandered into the wilderness, and died of exposure. The desert around Santa Rosa is unforgiving, scorching by day, freezing by night, and home to snakes, coyotes, and other dangers. If Jim had set off on foot, his body could have been lost to the elements. But the search at the time was thorough, and no remains were ever found. Theory 2. Foul play. Some believe Sullivan encountered the wrong people in the wrong place. Perhaps he crossed paths with strangers who robbed him, or worse. But nothing was taken from his car. His cash and guitar were untouched. For those who knew him, the idea of random violence seemed unlikely, but not impossible. Theory 3. He chose to vanish. Sullivan had been struggling with personal and professional setbacks. Some speculate he may have decided to abandon his old life and start anew, leaving his possessions behind to sever all ties. But again, the decision to leave without money, without identification, and without his guitar raises more questions than it answers. Theory 4. The U.F.O. connection. This is the strangest, but also the one that captures the imagination. In his debut album, U.F.O., Sullivan sang about deserts, highways, and being carried away by mysterious forces. Lines like, "Johnny rode by the U.F.O." and "There's a dream I've had so many times, I never want to see it again," suddenly felt prophetic. Fans began to wonder, did Jim's music foreshadow his fate? Was it coincidence? Or something more? The truth is, nobody knows. His wife never stopped hoping for answers, but none ever came. His son grew up without knowing what really happened to his father, and the music industry moved on, though Jim's name never entirely disappeared. In the decades since, Sullivan's album U.F.O. has gained cult status. Vinyl collectors prize original copies, and reissues have brought his music to new audiences. Ironically, the mystery of his disappearance gave his work the recognition he never found in life. His deep, haunting voice now echoes through time, paired with lyrics that seem to speak from beyond the veil. Today, Jim Sullivan remains both a footnote in rock history and a legend in the world of unexplained mysteries. His case is still open, unsolved, and endlessly debated. Did he lose himself in the desert? Did someone silence him? Or did he step into a story far stranger than any of us can imagine? 50 years later, Jim Sullivan's disappearance remains one of the most haunting cold cases in American music history. A talented artist, a car full of belongings, and then nothing. Just a trail that leads into the desert and ends. Thank you for watching until the end. If you found this story as chilling and thought-provoking as we did, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Unsolved Mysteries Archive. We'll continue bringing you the world's most baffling unsolved disappearances, one case file at a time. Until next time, stay curious.